Okay. But concern for the laptop playing Atef wasn't relieved when they noticed he still looked sick and now on the verge of crying. He was having a hard time keeping from having a panic attack. What's the matter, brother? What's the matter, brother Atef? Asked the mime Muslim, Muhammad Ziad Huraj Jabir. Muhammad Atef said with horror in his eyes. Muhammad Atef said with horror in his eyes, I can believe we will have eternally hard erections the size of mile-high palm trees in Jannah, if Allah wills. After all, there is hadith talk about tree so big in paradise it would take more than 100 years to cross out of its shadow. But how could Adam, may Allah pray on him and give him blessing, bump his head on sky to go bald? How? There was a pause. The van driving Muhammad, Yesua Yasir, said, according to Quran, sky is well-guarded canopy. When Adam, may Allah pray on him and give him blessing, was alive, how much you want to bet that the universe of today didn't exist and instead was canopy that was so close to the earth with stars that really did shoot flaming missiles at those who tried to leave the zones of the earth without authority, that Adam, may Allah pray on him and give him blessing, when he was giant, did bump and scrape his head on that sky that right now no longer exists. When the van driver said that, Atta felt as though he was going to black out at hearing something so stupid to him. Muhammad Yesua Yasir went on with, how do we not know that back then the sky was maybe, possibly little less than 90 feet high, allowing a 90-foot giant like Adam, may Allah pray on him and give him blessing, to scrape his head on, causing baldness today? Very good scholarly thinking, Brother Muhammad, cheered the others in the van. The trucker Muslim Atef couldn't believe the words he was hearing. He couldn't believe how everyone seemed fine with such reasoning. Atef just stared at the frozen image of the sub Niles Neville and looked down, feeling horrible that someone he took as intelligent, the van driving Muhammad Yeshua Yasir, could believe something that to him sounded incredibly insane and stupid. So horrible was Atef feeling. It was magnified when he realized, again, he had killed a man for such beliefs a day before. He looked at the screen of the laptop and saw the still smiling face of Niles Neville, as if mocking him. Instead of turning it off, though, he fought to not tap on the laptop mouse again, but he tapped anyway, making the sub continue with, but other than that, the CD you are reading this message from will only have about 200 copies exactly like it. So if you want to possibly see the science fiction fantasy parable in its entirety, or the Mohammedan who comes back for more, in completion, you better hope these CDs taped to paper plates aren't tossed into the trash. The same goes if you want to get in on the treasure hunt for the 10 grand. More like 10 pennies, said Muhammad, the trucker Atef, in a monotone. He tried to act angry at what he was hearing, to not attract suspicion that he was now really fighting hard with his faith in Allah's religion, still greatly smarting from what the van driver, Yeshua Yasir, told him. The fire and fury in his voice was now gone. He now felt as though he was just going through the motions of being a faithful jihadi. The image of Neville's was continued. The image of Niles Neville was continued with him saying, if you are able to see them through this process, then wait a few months where they might be downloaded onto MuhammadTube, which is an excellent YouTube-like site to learn about Islam and created by a native Arabic speaker known as Christian Prince, who, until the Muslims got him, was fantastic at teaching Islam was fantastic at teaching Islam so much that he had to hide his face or die for teaching true Islam. Prophet of Doom and Acts 17 apologetics all are also great sites to learn about Islam, where you might see Ahmed's Quran 3, Craig Gwynn, Coptic priest Zachary Botros, and Robert Spencer, who created Jihad Watch. All those are fantastic teachers of the true Islam and not the haters, liars, racists that Muslims try desperately to make them out in an attempt so you won't check out their facts and evidence against Islam. I highly doubt that I'll be putting my science fiction parable and other stories on any of their sites, except for possibly... I highly doubt that I'll be putting my science fiction parable and other stories on any other sites, except for possibly, again, MuhammadTube. If the one now in charge of it continues to keep it on the net somehow. Doubtful, but we'll see. It's probably boring as hell. It's probably boring as hell, said the young-looking Mohammed Ziad Jabir, who mined throat cutting, now watching the laptop of Atif. Neville's image went on with, well, you're probably wondering why such a thing as this has come about. Is it some kind of revenge for 9/11? Or the censoring of South Park to keep Muslims from killing its creators for having Muhammad in a bear costume? Mohammed Atif noticed that there was no mention of the destruction of the Willis Tower with a nuke set up by what many took to be Muslims, including secretly Mohammed Atif himself. Atif stopped the video and said softly to those around him, "This must be very old video of or prologue to Project Jihad. He made no mention of what got him into trucking." "You mean the glorious nuking of the Sears Tower, brother?" a voice from a few feet away asked. "Right, Brother Mahbub. He just mentioned 9/11, not Chicago," said Atif, again in a monotone. So many thoughts were now going through his head. None were comforting him. There was a tap on the mouse, and the sub continued with, "Is it revenge for all the killings of American troops trying to bring food to Muslims in Somalia, Egypt, and Libya? Is it for the ungratefulness Muslims showed America for freeing them in Kosovo? Is it the fear of having the whole of humanity all on prayer rugs with patooties high in the air 5 times a day every day to keep from paying the jizya tax? Or have Quran 9 1 through 5 and 929 kick in when Quran 911 is contemplated? Well, those could definitely be possibilities. Again, there's no mention of the Willis Tower being destroyed. This is an old recording," said the trucker Muslim Atif, feeling that he might be able to pull it off, that he was still in the faith. The sub went on with, "However, if you see my science fiction fantasy parable in its entirety, it should give you a strong hint as to why Project Jihad was launched, literally. One of the main motivating factors in the creation of Project Jihad is the belief that if Muslims can actually study Islam instead of just memorizing it like a kindergarten with the Pledge of Allegiance, that it might slow down the encroaching terror and intimidation that is fundamentalist Islam, might stop the evil. Who knows? Maybe South Park will be able to make fun of Muhammad like they feel so freely to do with the Lord Jesus Christ and Christianity. Maybe you will be able to name a teddy bear Muhammad without fear of having your head sawed off. If Muslims can really truly study Islam and see what's not only in the Quran but also in the Hadith as well, Islam might be reformed. Might. Again, Muslims actually don't study Islam in spite of Muhammad saying seeking knowledge for 1 hour is better than 70 years of prayer. The trucker Mohammed Atif tapped on the laptop mouse, stopping the digital image of the sub, Niles Neville. Please tell me I didn't hear that right," Mohammed Atif said softly to himself. "What?" asked Mohammed Ziad Jabir, the young Muslim who mimed throat cutting. "What did he say?" Atif hesitated, but he backed up a little bit on the video and hit the play button again. Neville's image started talking again, saying, if Muslims can really truly study Islam and see what's not only in the Quran but also in the Hadith as well, Islam might be reformed. Might. Again, Muslims actually don't study Islam in spite of Muhammad saying seeking knowledge for 1 hour is better than 70 years of prayer. Atif tapped the mouse, stopping the image of Neville again. He backed up a tiny bit on the video, hesitated, closed his eyes, praying to Allah that he didn't hear it right, and hit the mouse again, making the recorded image of Neville say again, Islam might be reformed. Might. Again, Muslims actually don't study Islam, in spite of Muhammad saying seeking knowledge for 1 hour is better than 70 years of prayer. The trucker Muslim Atif struck the laptop mouse with his finger again, stopped the image of the sub from talking further. He cringed and whimpered, feeling absolutely sick. Allah, he groaned. He felt some tears come to his eyes as he thought of the trucker he killed yesterday. A dreaded feeling of dark, smothering claustrophobia coming down on him was beginning to increase again. Please tell me that can't be authentic hadith, he said softly. What do you mean, brother? Asked the young-looking Ziyad sitting next to him. Please tell me that can't be authentic hadith, Atif said softly again. Authentic hadith? What do you mean? Asked Ziyad again. Please tell me it can't be authentic hadith, Atif shouted with fury and sadness. What, brothers? What, brother? What can't? Asked Muhammad Thayer Thaqib, sitting up front in the passenger seat. Thayer looked concerned. The damn Kafir said that Allah's apostle, may Allah pray on him and give him blessing, said, seeking knowledge for 1 hour is better than 70 years of prayer. He has to be lying. Has to be lying. Please tell me that's not authentic hadith, brothers. There was silence again. After a long pause, the question came from the front of the van. Brother, why are you listening to that loser? He is a loser who will be cast into the fire of hell, to have skin burnt off daily throughout eternity. So why are you listening to him, brother? Are you glutton for punishment? Muhammad Atif just sat there looking at the laptop. He then said, to know our enemy. Lao Tzu said, to defeat their enemy, you must know him, to know his words and thinking, to become like him. What better way than to study his videos? He's dead, brother, said another voice in the darkness of the van, this time coming from Mahbub Masson. Besides, Lao Tzu didn't say that about knowing your enemy. That was Sun Tzu, the one we study. Lao Tzu is the guy Kobashi was reciting in the video he made. Muhammad Atif then said, as he tried to collect his old way of thinking, dead, yes, dead. But the videos of Neville, his CDs, they live on. That Daniel Kobashi we attacked put this CD in a rest stop outside of Seattle, right? And he put the other CDs you destroyed in rest stops ever since then, right? A regular Johnny Appleseed, but with anti-Islam CDs this time. Sowing anti-Islam CDs across the continent, leading to soul death by creating doubt in the most compassionate, most merciful, like you said yourself, brother. These CDs and Kabashi are what we are in jihad against now, brothers. This is our jihad. Dar al-Harb still exists. After all, we are still at war. If we don't see what these CDs attack Islam on, how? How can we fight them if they find their way onto the internet by Kabashi? And don't tell me they can't get on the internet either. With horror in his eyes, Atif went on with, Kabashi is creating sleeper cells, brothers. Sleeper cells.